first.
Okay. Wait, okay. Almost got me there. All right, so, all right, three things. Let's see. I know how to drive a motorcycle.
Okay.
I know how to drive a motorcycle. I know how to cook Filipino food.
Okay.
And let me think. This might be my lie, or I'm just throwing you off.
Yeah,
No, no.
I know. You're poker face, man.
I currently have, don't be grossed out by this, but I currently have a parasite in my gut right now.
We all do, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how to drive a motorcycle.
Yes.
You know how to cook Filipino food.
Yes.
And you have a parasite in your gut right now.
Yes, yeah.
All right. So, which one's the lie?
Motorcycle.
The motorcycle? I think he doesn't know how to cook. That's what I think. I think the truth is he knows how to ride a motorcycle. He doesn't know how to cook. That's the lie right there. And the parasite. He's got a parasite in there somewhere. All right. So go ahead. Tell us what is your truth?
All right.
Your two
You guys
truths.
have your final answers, right?
Everybody's
Just in your
got it?
head. All right. So I drive a motorcycle. I do know how to drive a motorcycle.
Yes.
I learned in the Philippines when I was there. I do have a parasite in my gut right now.
You see that?
It's just dormant. They say whatever that means. Hopefully it's fine. And then I do not. I'm sorry, Mom.
You don't
I don't
know
know how to cook Filipino food.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being here. We're excited to hear what you have to say to us. So the time is yours.
Awesome, thanks. All right. Happy Sabbath, everyone. Happy 4th of July. I'm glad this place is safe from all the earthquakes. But I'm just making sure I know where to duck under in case the big one hits on me. So my talk today is called Purpose in PAGUDPUD. And if you don't know me, if just now was like your introduction to me, I'll introduce myself a little bit more. So my name is Brandon Carompis. I've been in this church, or around this church for a little bit since I was in junior high at Redlands Adventist Academy. I graduated from Redlands Academy in 2014, went to UC Riverside, so I stayed close, graduated from there in 2018. I was baptized here in this church in 2017, and I just came back from an 8-month-long mission trip in PAGUDPUD, Philippines, from September of last year to May of this year. So I've been back for almost 2 months now, and Pastor Todd asked me to speak about my experience, so we're going to do that today. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to anyone here who may have donated to me or prayed for me or just sent me encouraging texts or messages or anything, because that really helps a lot. I just want to say thanks for giving me the opportunity to even have an experience like this. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, like really thank you. My talk is called Purpose in PAGUDPUD, and I'll give you a little background of my mission trip. So PAGUDPUD, oh, let me turn this on. There we go. PAGUDPUD. Where's PAGUDPUD? So it's in the Philippines. It's in the North Island of Luzon here, this big island here. If you know, Manila is the capital of the Philippines. It's like on the south end of Luzon here. And PAGUDPUD is up here where its pin is. It's about a 12-hour car or bus ride up to PAGUDPUD. So that's where we stayed and lived and worked. And here's some pictures of PAGUDPUD. Really beautiful place. There are some beaches here. The beaches there are literally unreal, like crazy beautiful. I don't even want to go to California beaches because the beaches here are amazing, and I'm sorry if anyone loves California beaches. But it's really green, it's really hot, it's really humid, but they make up for it with how beautiful the nature is there. And yeah, it's really, really pretty looking place. And so the place that we actually worked and lived at was called PAGUDPUD Adventist Wellness Center, or PALC for short is what we called it. And it was a medical clinic. It's a campus with a medical clinic and a church and just made up of like 3 buildings. And if this is a video, if we can play the video. Oh, there we go. Is there sound right now? But anyway, so if there's no sound, I'll try to talk. This is the clinic right here down on the 1st floor, and up on the 2nd and 3rd floor is
You're just like other
there we
rooms.
go. That's the kitchen over there.
The pavilion, we all eat, and this is the church.
Okay, yeah. So we missed the beginning, but basically it's just these 3 buildings: the church, the pavilion, and the clinic over there on the right side. And we lived on the 2nd and 3rd floor of the clinic. That's where all like the staff and missionaries lived. And the clinic was just the 1st floor of that building. And then we had the church and the pavilion where like the kitchen was and stuff. And this video, you hear like the music in the background. This is, I made a bunch of videos documenting like our experience there. If you wanna look it up on YouTube, you can subscribe to me. But yeah, so that's where we lived and worked. The clinic was made up of different departments. So we had like outpatient, ER, dentistry, laboratory, radiology, stuff like that. So just the basic departments that the people there in PAGUDPUD needed and that it served. And so this is a picture of all the student missionaries that I came with. Over here on the left side is in September when we first got there. On the right side, this is February or March, sort of near the end of our trip. And so there's 11 of us here, and then this guy came halfway through the year. And this girl here, her name is April. She was, her title was like our host, but basically she's from PAGUDPUD, she works in Palsy, and she's sort of in charge of all the mission trips that come through the wellness center. So she was like our boss, and she was like our mediator between like us and the staff and the church and the community and all that good stuff. So yeah, so this is all 12 of us over here, coming from all over the states, from like La Sierra, Walla Walla, Southern, Andrews, Union, and most of us picked PAGUDPUD because so when you go to pick a place to serve, it's this website. I think Audrey talked about it before. ABS, yeah, nice. And you basically just list all these countries and like the jobs that they have offered and stuff. And PAGUDPUD Philippines was one of only 2 places in the world that offered a long-term medical mission trip. The only other place was in Peru. So if you weren't going to Peru, you're going to the Philippines. And most of us were like pre-healthcare, pre-dem, or whatever it may be, students in college. And so that's why we picked PAGUDPUD to go serve. And so we get there, and you know, when you go to, especially on mission trip, it's kind of hard to not have expectations of what you think you're there for. And so we all went as, you know, pre-healthcare students going to a long-term medical mission trip, thinking, oh man, we're gonna do a lot of medical good here in the community. We're gonna, you know, save some lives and stuff and get a lot of experience. And you know, no matter how hard we try to not have the expectations that we had, they're still there, you know, whether they're subconsciously there or, you know, we're not thinking about it, but, you know, things happen and it doesn't meet our expectations. And so a lot of things actually came up when we first got there within our first 2 weeks that changed our expectations drastically about how we were going to go about this year, like what we were gonna do, how it was gonna be. And so one of the things, this is a picture of the guys' room. We fit 6 guys in there. If you think this is dirty, this is like the cleanest I ever got. The girls' room was a lot cleaner and nicer and bigger. Yeah. Anyways, so our living situation, even though it looks like pretty messy here, our living situation was really good actually. We were really blessed with electricity that was constant. The rest of PAGUDPUD pretty much had blackouts like all the time. And we had like our own generator in our campus. And so if there's a blackout, just wait 5 seconds, power comes back on. So we had electricity, we had AC, which was a huge blessing in the Philippines. No other homes had AC there. We had hot water for showers. We had showers. Everyone else, you go to their homes and they're taking bucket showers outside, you know, with cold water. We had What else? We had a lot of just nice. We had beds that were nice. We had clean areas to live in. We had drawers to put our stuff in. We had all these blessings and all these things that kept us comfortable. And in kind of a way, we kind of struggled with that. It kind of sounds silly, but when you go on a mission trip, you tend to have an expectation of, when you think of mission trip, you think of, having to adjust and like having to give up the luxuries you have that you're used to at home. And we didn't really have to do that. And it kind of came to a point where we were wondering, like, is this really a mission trip if we still have all the luxuries that we have at home in terms of our living situation? We have AC, we have beds, we have Wi-Fi. We had Wi-Fi. It was pretty terrible Wi-Fi, but we had Wi-Fi. And it kind of made us struggle with, like, is this really where we're needed? Is this really a place that God needs us to be? Because we're so blessed here. Like, how can we, how do we still stay in the mindset of we're here to serve others when we're still in the comfortability that we have at home? Like, the biggest thing that we had to get used to was we couldn't flush the toilet paper down the toilet. When you go number 2, and you wipe, and then instead of flushing down the toilet, you put it in the trash can. And at least in the guys' room, the trash can built up, and it was pretty bad. So yeah, that was something that we started to struggle with when we first immediately got there. Second thing was, when the first 2 weeks that we were there, they told us, like, hey, don't work, like, just relax, you just got here, just bond with each other, get to know the area, go sightseeing. So we went to all the beaches. They took us to some waterfalls that we hiked to. And yeah, so it's really beautiful. We really got to see, how beautiful this place actually is. But after the first few days, we're like, man, this kind of feels like a vacation. It doesn't feel like we're here as student missionaries again. Like, we're here to serve. Like, these people donated money for us, they're praying for us, and this is what we're doing with our time. We were getting really anxious to to get into the clinic and start working and start actually doing what we went there to do. And so we finally did. We got into the clinic, and then we realized we have no medical experience. There's literally nothing that we can do in the clinic. The nurses were like, oh, you guys can like take vitals or something. That's easy. We're like, what are vitals? Like, what is that? Like, take blood pressure. All right, how do I do that? And so the first few weeks that we were there, we felt so useless. If anything, we felt like we were hurting the clinic because the staff had to slow down and teach us and correct our mistakes. And we just felt so useless. And really, the clinic was our only obligation there. The clinic was why we went, and we would work from 8 to 5, and afterwards we had no real obligation to do anything else. So when we're in the clinic, we're not really being able to do much, and we started to ask ourselves, what was our purpose there in PAGUDPUD? Why did God bring us here if we're not needed? We literally were not needed in the clinic. If anything, our presence there was hurting the clinic. It was making them less efficient. It was, we could smile and say hi to the people that came in. We couldn't even speak their language. They spoke English some, but it was hard, and it was like kind of a struggle that we had to go through, both individually or personally and together as a group, and something that we prayed about a lot. One thing that did happen right before we got into the clinic, there was a typhoon that came. It was called Typhoon Mangkhut. It hit PAGUDPUD. It was a Category 5 typhoon. I have never been in any hurricane or typhoon, so this was like all a whole new experience for me. So when it hit, or right before it hit, all the people, the houses on the coast, they all evacuated. We didn't have to evacuate because our buildings were so sturdy and so big. But everyone else, their houses are made of wood and just blocks of concrete, and so they're really fragile, and not being able to withstand something so big as a typhoon. And if the video plays, so that's just like a video that I took from the window of our building, showing the typhoon. So from the inside looking out, it looks pretty fun. Like, I wanted to go out and run out there and let the wind take me. But you know, it was really scary actually, especially because we were safe in our building and everyone else in our community had to evacuate and they were scared to lose all their stuff in their homes and everything. And so after the hurricane passed, literally the day after, we got up out of bed and we're like, finally there's something for us to do. Finally the community needs us to do something. And so we went out, we started cleaning the beach, we started going around to the neighborhoods around us and asking them, like, what can we do to help? What can we do to help? We're from America, we're here to help you guys. Like, we're literally here to help you guys. What can we do? And so they had us help them clean up the streets, clean up some houses, and that's a picture that we took after we were done cleaning up for the day. So we kind of wanted to ride that momentum of seeing what the community needed from us, not just going out and trying to do something that'll make us feel better about, like we're student missionaries, we're here to serve, and doing something that'll make us feel good, but really asking the community, like, what do you guys need from us? What can we do that you guys need that isn't necessarily in our own interest, but is definitely in the community's interest. So we did that, and we had April talk to a lot of people in the community. And so some teachers asked us if we could help teach English to some fourth graders, so we did. And that's a picture of the fourth graders there. We had two classes. One was like an honors class, and one was like the not honors class. And this was a not honors class, and they were so hard to teach. We just like played games and stuff. But hopefully they learned some English. We tried to teach them as much English as we could. We also, our group of SMs was pretty musically talented. So some of the SMs gave like private lessons to some kids because their parents really wanted them to learn instruments. So they did private lessons for guitar, piano. One of the parents, this is Jade, her parents donated a bunch of ukuleles, and so we started a ukulele choir at the church, and then also started giving like ukulele classes to a bunch of kids in the community, which was pretty cool. We did this thing, we called it VBS, but really it was just every week, once a week, we'd go out and hang out with the kids of a certain community and sing songs with them, play games with them, put on Bible skits for them, just teach them more about God, just remind them that Jesus loved them. And here we even had them do a beach cleanup thing, and they're really excited to do that. Really, the kids here are so excited to do anything that gets them out of the house. They don't have much, they don't have any toys or internet or anything, so really even cleaning up trash on the beach, they get so excited to do it. And that's something that we really liked because the kids were so excited doing simple things. Another thing we did was we put on community events once a month to try to get to know the community a little bit more. So this is a movie night that we put on for the kids. We were playing Joseph, I think, and it was funny because the first community event that we actually did was a haystack lunch. And so we invited the entire community, we passed out flyers, we printed out 200 flyers, and we invited the entire community to come, and we got a bunch of stuff for haystacks because, SDA and haystacks. And then 15 people came and they all hated our haystacks. And I know, right? Yeah, they just wanted the rice and the beans, and then everything else they didn't eat. So yeah, that was nice. But yeah, so we put on community events to get to know the community a little bit more, just so they can get familiar with us, and so they're not shy to ask us for help when they need anything. Another thing is we got involved, really involved with the church. One thing that we learned right away was that they will literally ask you to do something in the program, during the program. So yeah, Morgan and Audrey know this. There was one time where we had a Vespers and I was sitting down, singing along to the hymns and stuff. And then one of the church leaders comes up to me, she's like, "Hey, do you have a sermon prepared?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think I do." She's like, "Oh, great, you're speaking." I'm like, "When?" She's like, "After this song." Okay. So then I had to run up, get my laptop, come back down. So yeah, thanks Redlands Church, by the way, for not doing that to me. A few weeks notice. But we were really involved with the church. I got to speak a few times. We sang pretty much every week. We headed the little kids out of school a bunch. And we just found ways to be involved with the church. And so yeah, see, one big thing that we did actually was the clinic policy. They really wanted a new van because the van that they had was really old. It broke down every other time we used it, and they needed to go. The thing about living in a rural area, in a rural town, is to get your meds, to get your supplies, you have to go to a big city to get all that stuff and bring it back. And you need a van to do that and to do other things as well with the church and everything. And so we started bandwagon project to try to raise money for this van and help out. And so what we did was we got these t-shirts made in the US and stickers as well, and we just advertised it and tried to sell as many as we could. Our goal was $10,000, and we're like, okay, we started the project, and then a month later we had maybe $500. And like, okay, maybe we can get 2,000, maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000. And then by the end of March, we had made over $10,000 from all the t-shirts, donations from random people that just wanted to give us money for the clinic. Yeah, amen. It was amazing, and it was just something that, when we first started it, after that first month, we were kind of like, this isn't gonna work. We should probably think of something else. And all of a sudden it picked up and picked up and picked up, and God made it work. And all while doing this, all while getting involved in the community, we started getting more and more involved in the clinic. So they taught us how to do stuff. They taught us how to draw blood. They taught us how to do IVs. They taught us how to take vials. They taught us how to do ECGs. So this is just me doing some of the stuff that I enjoy. So I got to pull a tooth out actually, which is really cool. I got to clean a bunch of people's teeth. I learned how to clean teeth, and they just randomly clean their teeth. I'm like, okay, cool. And then this is after I did my first suture. So that was really cool. I got to do sutures a couple times. So we started getting more involved in the clinic, and it was just crazy just thinking about the first 2 weeks when, we were useless in the clinic, and if anything, we were hurting the clinic, and now the clinic kind of, not depended on us, but they needed our help a lot because, there was seasons where, a lot of kids started getting dengue fever, and they had more and more people coming into the ER, and so they asked us, like, hey, we need more people in the ER, and so we would go and help them out. And the biggest thing that we wanted to focus on when it came to, serving whether in the community or in the clinic, was developing relationships with the people there in PAGUDPUD. Because, as student missionaries, our main goal is yes to serve the community, yes to meet their needs and what we can do for them. But ultimately, it's to bring people closer to God and to get more people to get into heaven, right? And so, when you develop relationships with people, the more you get to know them, and the closer you are with them, the more you want to see them in heaven. And so, that's what our focus was the entire year, was not just knowing a lot of people, not just like having the people know us as student missionaries in the community, but having relationships with them, visiting their houses, praying with them, singing for them, just, being encouraging to them. And so this guy right here, his name is Randall. This is in the kitchen of probably our favorite restaurant there, and he's one of the cooks. And he also works in the clinic from time to time. But he really became close to our student missionary little group. We just considered him like one of us because he hung out with us so much. And he was a baptized SDA before, but he kind of just he stopped going to church and didn't really think much of it anymore. And then when we started hanging out with him, he started coming to church more and more. He started asking us questions about our faith and asking us questions about who God really is to us. There's one time where we were like on a roof somewhere just looking up at the stars, and he was like, hey guys, I'm usually not proud to be SDA, but right now with you guys I'm proud to be SDA. And so that was really nice. And before I left, I think the day I left, I was talking to him, and he was saying how much he's gonna miss me and everything. And he said the one thing that he's gonna remember, or that he won't forget from us, is how much we told him to rely on God and to be close to God, and to encouraging him to just have that relationship with Jesus that we all really wanted him to have. He was so curious about everything. He wanted to have Bible studies, so me and my friend Micah, another student missionary, we had Bible studies with him. He asked a lot of questions, and it was just so cool to just see him go in the beginning of the year, not really caring about religion or God or anything, and at the end, all he could talk about was, like, I'm so excited that you guys, brought me closer to God and everything. And so just hearing that kind of assured me and the rest of us that, like, hey, maybe we're doing something right. Maybe, what God is using us for, even though it's not really what we came here to do, maybe what God is using us for in PAGUDPUD is something that he wants us to do, and it's working out. And so that question that we had, what was our purpose there, that we had in the beginning of the year, and it's something that we actually struggled with for the first few months, just constantly asking us, like, why are we here? Like, they don't need us in the clinic. Does the community really need us? All this stuff. And what we thought our purpose was, what I thought my purpose was to go there, do a lot of medical good, which we did. We got a lot of medical experience. We went out to the surrounding towns of PAGUDPUD and gave like free healthcare to the people that were less fortunate there. We did all these things. We, helped in the community a bunch, and it was a lot of things that, we came to PAGUDPUD with a certain expectation and what we thought our purpose was. And God totally switched that around and said, no, this is what your purpose is. And we just went with it. And it worked out. And I think as a group of our student missionary family, we sort of came to the realization that our purpose for being in PAGUDPUD was not just serving there when we're there, but to learn how to serve and bring that back home. So one thing that we told ourselves was we aren't just student missionaries, we are missionary students. So, when you think of student missionaries, you think of a student who is a missionary, right? And then when you think of a missionary student, it's someone who's learning how to be a missionary. So when it came to our 8 months in PAGUDPUD, it wasn't just about serving in those 8 months. It was about learning in those 8 months while we were serving, and then being able to use what we learned in PAGUDPUD and bring it over to home. Like I said, we're all over the United States, so bring it over to wherever it is, whether Redlands or Nebraska, Washington, Florida, wherever we were, and to take everything that we learned and bring it there. And it was something that it was kind of an epiphany that one of our SMs had. He was like, guys, working in the clinic, we sort of have a job. It's like a job where we work 8 to 5 every day, and then in our free time, it's whatever we want it to be. Whether that's just we could just take a nap and just be inside our rooms and not do anything, or we decided to go out and help the community and see how they needed us. And much like that, it's like back home. When we come back home, it is like that, where we have school or we have work that we have to do. It's our only obligation, right? Back in PAGUDPUD, our only obligation that we had to do was to be in the clinic. But then it's finding that free time to do what God is calling you to do, and to really make use of that time and the resources that you have. So what now? How do I come back and take everything I learned at PAGUDPUD and bring it back home, bring it back here to Redlands, to the US? I have a story about that. So being so involved with the church in PAGUDPUD, I was really excited to come back home and hopefully be more a part of Redlands Church, which is my home church. And so I come back home in May, and I really want to be a part of the church, but I get so shy, and I don't want to talk, and I don't like being in front of people. And so I was like, I'll get there eventually. And there was one day where I was driving, and I was like, man, why am I like this? Why can't I not just, talk to someone at Redlands Church and ask them to be more involved? Because it's something that I really wanted to do. And I kid you not, when I parked my car at home, I got a call from Redlands SDA Church, and it was Pastor Shelley, and she called me and she said, hey, would you like to be involved with Redlands Church? We need help with something. Would you be interested in helping? And I said yes, I took the opportunity. So she had me be the director for preschool VBS 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? So I did it. She gave me awesome high schoolers to help me out. She gave me everything I needed, and so we did it. It was a blast, and it went really well. And it was just crazy, just God, using me. And even though I was shy about it, He literally just gave me the opportunity, and I just took it. And that's something that I learned in PAGUDPUD, where God just throws you opportunities, and you just have to keep your mind open, your eyes open, and just keep your arms open and just take them. And another one more recently. So that one, VBS it ended last Friday, or not yesterday, but last week. And so 2 days later on Sunday, I got a call from one of my good friends. His name is Brandon Singh, if you know him. He was up in Oregon helping my other friend Kira. She was the preschool director at Light Bears Convocation in Oregon. It was a camp meeting, and he called me on Sunday, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to come to Oregon and help us out with camp meeting? Because we need help. Just watching a bunch of little kids, but we're kind of undermanned." And I'm like, "Yeah, that'll be fun. Like, just fly me up to Oregon." And he's like, "All right, there's a guy here that wants to fly you up to Oregon." And so that night, I flew up to Oregon, and we spent the week hanging out with little kids and teaching them about God and everything. And it was awesome. And I came back home last night, and now I'm here today. So again, yeah, it was crazy. It was really crazy. So again, it's just, it's keeping your mind and your eyes open for God's opportunities that He's literally throwing at you, because He really is just throwing you opportunities, and it's just up to us to just take it and go with it and trust Him. And so that was the things that we learned all together here in PAGUDPUD. And it's something that I hope will, I'll ride this momentum, as far as I go, wherever God takes me. And I hope you guys do that too. I hope you guys take the opportunities that God gives you to find your purpose. Not the one that you may have, but the one that God is giving you. So yeah, so thank you for letting me share my story, and happy Sabbath.
If you've been blessed by Brandon's message today, say amen.
Amen.
Brandon, it is tradition here at the Relevant Stage that we pray for our guest speakers, for their life, for their ministry. So we'd like to pray as a family today with you. So bow your heads with me as we pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for Brandon. Thank you for his ministry. Thank you for the purpose and the goal that he has in his life, Lord. Bless him as he continues in his journey, Lord. Give him the strength, give him the power, and take away that parasite he has in his intestine. In your name, amen.
Amen.